Hello, my name is Erica, and I'm the Dyslexic Trekkie. I'd like to start off with a couple of comments on the first video. While researching the history of the production, I read part of it wrong. I read that the writer got fired, but it was actually the director who also edited the story in such a way as to make it fit stereotypes about non-Western cultures, and also that Jonathan Frakes spoke out against those changes. I tried to make a note of it through the slides, but a couple of memes don't change inaccurate information. I will always admit to my mistakes and correct them as best I can. I'd also like to do a video on Jonathan Frakes sometime in the future. He had some very progressive ideas during the series, and he pushed for some pretty forward-thinking things, especially given the times. But that's for another video. In the last video, I talked about the problematic history of Code of Honor and the racist undertones written into the story. I also did an overview of the episode. If you haven't seen it yet or would like a refresh, a link will be in the description. I also mentioned why I felt it couldn't just be removed from the series and what needs to happen. This time, I'll talk about what needs to be changed and why. First, the planet with the cure can't be primitive. By the Prime Directive, no warp-capable nation should even speak to them, let alone ask for a cure to a disease. It doesn't matter how dire the situation is, a society has to have the opportunity to develop in its own way. By the basic mechanics of the Star Trek universe, this has to at least be a warp-capable society. 2. Tasha Yar has to want to be with the leader. This is a difficult situation, but there's a very real reason. For one, I have to bring up the basic optics of a black leader kidnapping the white lady. Secondly, the way the story is written, Tasha has no agency. You're really telling me they could have forced her against her will with so little of a fight? She's a trained martial arts expert. The only way they could have taken her is if on some level she wanted to go. Maybe she'd agreed to go at some point, and the leaders misinterpreted her words. The rest will be addressed as I go through the episode. I'll go scene by scene and describe the changes, adding dialogue when needed. If needed, I'll explain what I don't change. Due to the fact that I'm using stills from the actual episode, I'll have to work with the visuals. For instance, I won't be making any changes to costumes or set, though context may change. First, the intro. In regards to Picard's speech describing Ligon 2 where the vaccine can be found, I honestly thought I'd have to start with that, but it's as innocuous as one can get. Only thing is, with my culture change, I don't think a treaty would be needed. Perhaps the change would be Starfleet is instructing me to meet with a delegation to discuss the need for their scientific services. Quick conversation on the way down to the shuttle bay would have Deanna say, a highly structured society. They're proud of their scientific research, instead of her just saying they're a proud people. Like, aren't all people proud? The actual greeting would be similar, though when Tasha lets Picard know that they wish to use their own transporter system, instead of saying it's their way, he says, of course, their protocol requires it. When the delegation rolls out the red carpet, it isn't so much a red carpet as it is a decontamination device. It's not that far-fetched. We have tools used to ensure no cross-contamination now. These are people presenting medical tools. Why wouldn't they be extra careful in preventing contamination between two groups? The silliness in how it is presented in the show would be altered with the one rolling out the carpet finishing with some statement saying what they are doing, such as decontamination complete. It really wouldn't take any time at all. As for their outfits, well, the guard is ceremonial. Why have armor when you're not really going to fight? They're presented not as a defender of the leader, but as a safety precaution for the vaccine. And if the other changes have been made, I don't think this one quirk is so bad. They're there because what's being given is important. The chance for their science to save lives. Lutan transports in now because that's when it's clear. The decontamination is complete. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about his being confused by Tasha being a female security officer. I think I'd leave the lines the same, but give a vague impression that he is more impressed by her than confused by her gender. And also, who else forgot her name was Natasha? And I'm not changing a thing in the interaction with the second. Her dropping him to the ground is too good to remove. Why did it happen? Well, he didn't listen. What else could she do? Why didn't he listen? His protocol said he had to hand the vaccine to Picard. Poor communication. I'd also not changed Lutan's small aside about Tasha being what they need. In my version, he's still an antagonist. being more advanced doesn't exempt them from having bad people among them. One of the biggest changes I'd make is actually in the post-credit scene. It may be small, but this is where that key description of Lygon being like an ancient, i.e. primitive culture is. Instead, I'd have Picard say, "Your culture is very similar to parts of our own Earth. We're deeply impressed by your people's choice to explore scientific advances, much like we explore space." The presentation of the artifact being a personal gift from Picard. Though it's not heavily established at this point, Picard's love of archaeology would make this gift make some sense. He's giving a gift from his own collection, one from China, an area of Earth that's known for its scientific and technological advances. Then there's Lutan's comment about being technologically advanced. I just remove it. Lutan's line, "We are pleased with this gift. I hope that our research can do much good. We have not explored space as you have. We've been hesitant in furthering relationships, but we have something your people need, a vaccine." And really, how would they have even come up with the vaccine to begin with in the original story? They're cut off. It's all but outrightly stated that they're pre-warp, so why would they have it? When would they have come in contact with the disease to even need it? No. In my story, they have it because the virus was of particular interest to the scientists. They created it, anticipating an outbreak because some factors they understood. Now, it's needed, and their isolation is broken to help. It's for prestige by Lutan, but for Lygon, the planet, it helps bolster their standing in the galactic society. The samples for the vaccine are given, the Enterprise can pass it on so scientists can mass produce it. To show gratitude, they show further hospitality to Lutan and his team. Lutan asks for Yar specifically to show him around. Riker makes a statement the Yar being in charge of security is not all that uncommon, because he finds their interest to be a little bit unusual. His second informs Riker that it is an anomaly with his people. Division of labor is somewhat different. Women own land, and men manage it. Sorry, there's really no way to change that here. This is just how their property is managed, not their greater society. Perhaps men and women are both scientists and take part in different technological works. It's just how property works. When Yar shows the holodeck programs, Lutan is impressed by how advanced their holodecks are. I'm not conceding that he's in awe over their moving mannequin. That's what the program is. He's more intrigued by how it's used. His culture doesn't use holograms in that way. Lutan enjoys seeing Yar spar. At this point, it seems like a friendly interest. When Hagon, his second, shows doubt, it's in how difficult the program is, since Yar is doing so well. As Hagon spars, Lutan begins to banter with Yar, lightly, and with friendly undertones. He's charming and appreciates Yar's skill. In my version, I would imply that more time passes than the original script shows. Lutan and Yar spend extended time in the holodecks, with Yar showing him different training programs. She enjoys sparring, and Lutan encourages her in ways she appreciates. They become more friendly, though still mostly polite. This is where the cultural misunderstanding comes in. Yar is attracted to him, and he's being engaging with her. Lutan implies that he'd like to get to know Tasha better. She says she'd like that at some point. The misunderstanding is in when. She's thinking of visiting on her next leave, but that subtlety is missed. When Lutan and his second leave, as he says goodbye, he goes to shake Yar's hand and says something along the lines of, "I would appreciate your extended visit." That's when he transports both of them down, not with a forced grab, but with her in a separate beam and her saying, "That's not what I meant." And I'm just dropping everything from when Picard gets onto the bridge to when Data realizes his explanation of how the transporters work is unnecessary. I don't see anything in his character that implies that he would fire torpedoes into the upper atmosphere of a planet for any reason. And I don't think it's actually necessary. He just needs to make it very clear that he wants his security officer back. And as much as I regret it, I'm gonna have to end this video here. I wish I could have finished it in one video, but what did I expect? Did I really think I could finish a revision in 15 minutes? Well, yeah, I did. But I'm still learning. Since I got to just over 11 minutes into the episode, I'm guessing I've got maybe 3 more videos left. I'll have to come back to this in a few weeks. Next week, I've got something special planned for Mother's Day. Thank you for watching. If you like this subject, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any thoughts, feelings, or ideas on this subject, please share in the comments below. Again, my name is Erica, and I'm the Dyslexic Trekkie. And as usual, Ensign Bradbury would very much like to be down right now. He's more insistent than usual because I kind of had to capture him and put him on my lap. He is trying to disobey a direct order. You're really telling me they could have forced her? Yeah, they really are. Oh, I know. We're getting there, baby. My neighbors always want to leave in the middle of me doing these things. Yeah, and you went down. Yeah, and they're making it take longer. How rude of them. Just a thought. Yeah, they just don't understand. You're very talkative tonight. Yeah. It's going to be fun editing out all his meows. I think I might just take them all and put them together at the end. What do you think? Yeah, shh. But this is where the key description of Ligon, dyslexia works. It's all but out. It's all, yeah. 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 At this point, it seems like Ray, please, okay? We're getting there. It's like a page left, okay? His protocol said he had to hand the vaccine to I've said his name since I was 8 years old. Yes.